singer of Nirvana, one of the world's most popular rock bands, has been found dead at his home in Seattle.
Tonight and all day, tributes have been pouring in for Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins. He died suddenly last night at the age of 50.
Yeah, they're all pretty easy for me. Dave Grohl, damn it.
January 14, 1969, Dave Grohl was born in Warren, Ohio. He has an older brother and sister. A few years later, as a young child, his family moved to Springfield, Virginia. At around the age of 7, Grohl's parents divorced, and Dave would then live with his mother. It was at the age of around 10 or 11 when Grohl first learned to play the guitar. He wasn't so fond of guitar lessons, so decided to just teach himself. At age 13, Dave and his sister would spend some time at his cousin's house, and this is where he was introduced to punk rock, with his cousin taking him and his sister to various punk rock shows. From then on, we were totally punk, Grohl said. We went home and brought maximum rock and roll and tried to figure it all out. While in high school, he played in several bands, even playing as a guitarist in one band. He then decided to teach himself the drums. And just like the guitar, he was self-taught in this also, deciding not to take lessons. Hearing Rush drummer Neil Peart at around the age of 8 was what first made Grohl really interested in becoming a drummer. Grohl said, "It changed the direction of my life. I heard the drums. It made me want to become a drummer." Led Zeppelin's John Bonham was also a massive influence on Grohl. So much so that Dave self-tattooed Bonham's 3-ring symbol on his arm. In 1985, after his band Mission Impossible broke up, Grohl would join hardcore punk band Dane Bramage, and he was with them for around about a year before he decided to join the band Scream, a band who he would be with for about 4 years. At the audition for Scream, he claimed he was older than he was. He was 17 at the time, but needed to be older to get the position, so lied about his age. But he really wanted to do it, so he dropped out of high school and said this, "I was 17 and extremely anxious to see the world, so I did." Grohl did 4 years of touring with Scream. He released a live album with the band. But in 1990, Scream would unexpectedly disband mid-tour following the departure of their bassist, Skeeter Thompson. And it was around the same time in 1990 that a certain grunge band from Seattle were looking for a new drummer. Kurt Cobain and Chris Novoselic from Nirvana had gone to see Dave perform with his band Scream, and they liked what they saw, and the rest, shall we say, is rock and roll history. Grohl would play his first show with Nirvana in October of 1990. That was at the North Shore Surf Club in Olympia, Washington. He remembers what it was like first being in a room with them. "I remember being in the same room with them and thinking, what? That's Nirvana? Are you kidding? Because on their record cover they look like psycho lumberjacks. I was like, what? That little dude and that big mother? You're kidding me." Even while in Nirvana, Grohl was always working on his own material, and released a cassette called Pocket Watch in 1992. But Nirvana, of course, was Cobain's band. He was at the head of the songwriting, and he was the driving force behind everything that happened there. About a year after Grohl joined Nirvana, the band started to hit the dizzying heights of success with the release of their second record, Nevermind. The single Smells Like Teen Spirit blew up worldwide, and for a short time there, Nirvana took over the whole world. Grohl added real skill and power at the drums. In fact, he hit his drums so hard he would often break them, bashing right through the skins. Grohl added tunefulness and melodic beats to Kurt's songs, also with the addition of backing vocals. Grohl's and Cobain's voices sounded really good together, in perfect harmony with one another, really.
Their voices sound pretty cool together. Very similar tonal quality.
With the release of their third studio album in September of '93, Nirvana were starting to change a bit. They had employed a second guitarist, Pat Smear, and Kurt was letting Chris and Dave more in on the songwriting. So much so that on the In Utero song Scentless Apprentice, Dave wrote the opening drum beat, not a great surprise there, but also wrote the opening guitar riff that went along with that beat.
Scentless Apprentice is apparently one of the first songs that you guys have sort of more fully collaborated on. Yeah. And the riff, yeah. He came up with the drum beat and then he showed me the riff, you know, and it was really simple, and we thought, well, this could work, and I was thinking, this is kind of bonehead, and then I thought, we'll work on it, and it turned out great, and now I'm excited about it because now we can write together even more.
In the first few months of 1994, Nirvana went on their ill-fated European tour, a tour frontman Cobain said he never really wanted to go on. He was sick the entire time, and Nirvana would play their final ever show March 1st, 1994 on that tour. The band returned home to the US, and sadly just a short time later on April 8th, 1994, Cobain was found dead at his home in Seattle. So, that was the end of Nirvana. They had taken over the world for a short time, blasted us all away with their amazing songs, but now it was over. And so, what would Mr. Dave Grohl do now? Well, Dave had a few ideas. As mentioned before, he was a singer and songwriter already himself. After the death of Cobain, Grohl actually drummed for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers for a short time. He was asked to join the band permanently, but Grohl declined. No, Grohl wanted to do something of his own, start up his own band, and he did that with the Foo Fighters with their debut release in 1995. It's an awesome album with some awesome songs on there, with Dave playing the entire album by himself, all bar one guitar part. There are even a couple of tracks on there that he had demoed to Cobain for possible use in Nirvana. Songs like Exhausted and Alone and Easy Target. Kurt liked those tunes. So Dave loaded up that first album with 12 really good tracks. He didn't want people necessarily knowing it was just him, so he made up the band name Foo Fighters, so people would think it was a band. But eventually Dave would need a band to go on tour, and to start this whole thing up properly, of course. So he did that. He employed Nate Mendel on bass, William Goldsmith on drums, and his former Nirvana bandmate Pat Smear. And so, the Foo Fighters were born.
What do you guys are in the middle of doing absolutely nothing right now, right? But
well, we just stopped touring, and we're going to start recording this fall, and hopefully have another record soon.
How's the material been put together? Is everybody writing?
Oh, yeah.
The band has put out a steady cycle of music throughout the years, a lot of great songs, top 10 hits, #1 records, and remain today as one of the most successful rock bands out there. But along with all that success came more tragedy for Grohl. He had lost a friend and bandmate in Kurt Cobain in 1994, and sadly in March of 2022, at the age of just 50, he lost one of his very best friends, and the drummer for his band, of course. That was Taylor Hawkins. Hawkins had been with the band since 1997, and he and Dave were just like inseparable, like brothers. So this was a massive blow to Grohl, to say the least. 2 massive tribute shows were played for Taylor, one at Wembley Stadium and one in LA. An awesome send-off for a man who meant so much to Dave Grohl. While being a Foo Fighter, Grohl would also have several side projects he played in. Most notably, he drummed for Queens of the Stone Age and Tenacious D. He also drummed in Probot, a band that featured Lemmy from Motorhead, along with forming his own supergroup with Them Crooked Vultures. Another pretty cool Dave Grohl moment came in 2018 when he released the song Play. But it's not just any song, it's a 23-minute long instrumental, with Grohl playing all the instruments here. And along with all that, there's not too much more else that Dave Grohl hasn't done. He has had several TV and movie cameos over the years, including an episode of The X-Files, Of course, alongside Jack Black in the movie The Pick of Destiny, The Muppets movie, and Bill and Ted's Face the Music. As mentioned earlier in the video, Grohl has 2 older siblings, an older sister Lisa, and a brother that nobody really knows too much about. He has been married twice. First time in 1994 to Jennifer Youngblood, whom he divorced from in 1997. And in 2003, he married Jordan Bloom and has 3 daughters with her. However, Grohl revealed in 2024 on Instagram that he had fathered a 4th daughter. This one was outside of his marriage, and he asked his family for forgiveness. In 2023, Grohl suffered another big loss in his life, and that was the death of his mother, someone whom he was very close to. She had always been the one who had encouraged him to go after his dream of becoming a musician and supported him in that fully. It was just a massive part of his life. Grohl said, "I was with her for all of the time leading up to her passing." The song The Teacher from the Foo Fighters album But Here We Are was written about his mom, Virginia. Grohl said, talking about the song, "I felt like I had to honor her, pay tribute to her with this piece of music. So that's when it turned into something other than a song. It's the most important thing I've ever written because I wrote it for such a gigantic person." So yes, Dave Grohl has found his fair share of success in the music and entertainment world, but along with that success has also came along an equal amount of tragedy, with the loss of close friends, bandmates. But if one thing you can take from Dave Grohl than anything else is that he never gave up, he always persevered. After the death of Cobain, he could have given up, and he did consider stopping music altogether at that point, but no, he didn't. He kept going, formed a very awesome band with Foo Fighters, released a ton of albums, won so many awards with that band, and their longevity has just been amazing. And so we'll end it here on a lighter note, on a drummer joke actually. This is Dave Grohl's favorite joke about drummers. How can you tell a drummer's at the door? He doesn't know when to come in. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, sub to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to drop a like on the video. We'll catch you next time.